Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolute game changer of a book, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. We're going to unpack some timeless lessons that show why your habits, not how smart you are what really matter for financial success. All right, to really get this, let's start with two true stories that sound completely backward. On one hand, you've got this brilliant tech exec, made a fortune, flaunted it, and then poof, lost it all. And on the other hand, a humble janitor, Ronald Reed, who quietly built up an $8 million fortune. How in the world does that happen? Well, the answer lies right here, in the book's central idea. It's not about how smart you are or how complicated your spreadsheets are. Nope. Doing well with money is a soft skill. It's about how you behave. That's way more important than what you know. So here's how we're going to break down these 10 amazing lessons. We'll start with behavior and mindset, then get into the strategy for building your fortune, how to keep it, and then we'll wrap up with a final big takeaway. Let's get into it. Okay, first up, mindset. It really does all start in your head. So let's start by completely rewiring how we even think about money. It all begins with a pretty simple truth. And that truth is, lesson 1. No one is crazy. I mean, think about it. The way you handle money might look totally insane to someone else, but to you, it makes perfect sense. And that's because your financial worldview is shaped by your unique life experiences, and nobody else's.
Housel puts it so brilliantly with this quote. I mean, just listen to this. Your personal experiences with money make up maybe 0.0000001% of what's happened in the world, but maybe 80% of how you think the world works. Wow. That just says it all, doesn't it? Our own tiny slice of history shapes almost everything we believe about money.
So what's the takeaway here? The core idea is that we're all seeing the world through our own little keyhole. The action step? Acknowledge your own biases. And maybe, just maybe, try to understand why other people make the financial choices they do. It's all about having a little empathy. Okay, moving on to lesson 2. Let's talk about two forces that are always at play in every single financial outcome, but we just don't give them enough credit. I'm talking about luck and risk. You know, they're like two sides of the same coin. The core idea is that not every success comes from pure skill, and not every failure is because of a dumb mistake. You have to accept that you're not in 100% control. I mean, think about Bill Gates. Yeah, he was brilliant, but he also got incredibly lucky. He went to one of the only high schools in the world that had a computer in 1968. So the action here is to judge yourself and others by looking at broad patterns, not just those crazy extreme examples of success or failure. All right, lesson 3. This might be the single hardest financial skill of all. Seriously, it's about getting the goalpost to stop moving. It's that constant, dangerous hunger for more. And Housel gives us what I think is one of the most powerful sentences in the entire book. He says, "There is no reason to risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need." Just let that sink in. This is your defense, your shield, against that social comparison game that can lead to absolute financial ruin. Okay, so now that our mindset is in the right place, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about the actual strategies for building your fortune. And lesson 4 makes a really critical distinction. Getting wealthy and staying wealthy, they are two completely different things. Getting wealthy often requires taking risks, being optimistic, putting yourself out there, but staying wealthy, that's a whole different ballgame. It requires humility, a little bit of fear, and being frugal enough to actually save what you've made. This next one, lesson 5, is so counterintuitive, but it is absolutely crucial to get. True wealth is invisible. As Housel says, spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. And isn't that true? When you see someone driving a Ferrari, you're not thinking, wow, that guy's cool. You're thinking, wow, I wish I had that car. You're just imagining yourself in their place. So the core idea here is that real wealth is the money you don't spend. It's the savings, the investments, the assets that haven't been turned into flashy stuff yet. So the action step? Focus on building that invisible wealth, not on showing off the symbols of it. And this brings us to lesson 6, which is really about the ultimate goal of all this. It's not about luxury, it's about autonomy. It's what this quote says. The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. It's about having control over your time. That's the real prize. All right, let's move into our final set of lessons. This is all about endurance. It's about how to survive and thrive for the long term. And lesson 7 is a big one. We're always told to save for something specific, right? A house, a car, a vacation. But Housel says the most important saving you can do is saving without any goal at all. It's saving for a future you literally cannot predict. See, the idea is that saving just for the sake of saving gives you flexibility, it gives you options, and it's a buffer against all of life's inevitable surprises. So the action step is simple. Make saving a habit, even when you don't have a big purchase in mind. That's the money that lets you handle an emergency or jump on an opportunity and, honestly, just sleep better at night. Which leads us right into lesson 8, worship room for error. What's so important here is understanding that the most crucial part of your plan is planning for your plan not to go according to plan. You have to have a margin of safety. And that brings us perfectly to lesson 9. You have to be reasonable, not purely rational. Why? Because you're not a spreadsheet. You're a person. You're a messy, emotional human being. So the core idea is simple. The best financial plan isn't the one that looks perfect in a spreadsheet with the highest possible returns. It's the one you can actually stick with for the long haul. So your action step is to choose a strategy that feels comfortable, one that lets you sleep at night, even if it's not technically optimal. Sticking with a good plan is way, way better than giving up on a perfect one. Okay, so we've gone through all these incredible lessons about mindset, strategy, and endurance. So what's the final lesson? What's the one big idea that ties it all together? It's this. Important financial decisions aren't made in spreadsheets. They're made at the dinner table. What that means is that personal finance is always, always more personal than it is finance. It's about your life, your goals, your family, your fears. And so the book leaves us with this one final, really important question to ask ourselves. Is your financial plan built for a spreadsheet? Or is it built for you, for the real, messy, emotional, wonderful human being that you are? Pondering that, that's where the real wisdom lies.